Welcome to this live stream. So in this live stream, I will basically talk about how you can optimize your JavaScript code inside your Node.js application in order to actually increase the efficiency and also avoid duplicate calls to the same function. That is, you want to prevent the duplicate function calls. So this will increase the efficiency of your Node.js application, and we will also be using the concept of caching. We will catch our result. So I will show you the example. So for building this application, we will require two modules. First module will be ts-timeframe. This is the first Node.js module, and you can see it's a very new module, and it's a very lightweight module, and it is developed to actually for high performance backend applications. So this is needed here. You can simply install this by using npm i ts timeframe. And secondly, we will actually use caching inside our React Node.js. So you will simply say reliable caching. This is the actual name of the module, the very first result which comes in. And the command is very simple, npm i reliable caching. So just execute this command, npm i ts timeframe and reliable caching. So install these two modules. I've already installed it. And now just create index.js file. So I will now inside your package.json file just add this line type.module. So we will simply want to use the import statement. So the very first module we will import is the delay from ts timeframe. So we will need some delay. So we will be importing delay from that. And now we will simply make a async function, and I will simply call this simulated call. I will simply make a function which will take two variables. First, this will be a number, and so this will, so I can basically make this in TypeScript as well. You can simply say index.ts. So TypeScript is the superscript of JavaScript. So this will actually take two numbers. As you can see, we are providing it. A is a number, B is a number. So inside this function, guys, simulated call, we will actually wait for 200 millisecond, and then we will console log a statement that calculated A. Here we just need to calculate the multiplication. So here we are actually performing the operation, which is we are multiplying A by into B. So we are simply storing that result, A into B, console logging it, and then we will return this result, A multiplied by B. So this is the simple function, guys. So this can be very advanced function as well. In production level application, it can be any API call that you make to the database, anything you can do that inside your business logic. We are simply taking the example, we are passing two numbers A and B, and then we are simply waiting for 200 millisecond, and then we are multiplying it and returning this result from this function, and it's a async function. And now we will actually inside our we will again make a another function which will actually call this function. So here inside our main function, we will actually make another function, so const values, and we will make use of promise here. Promise allows you to execute functions simultaneously, not in a serial wise. So multiple functions can be executed at the same time. This is called as asynchronous JavaScript. So that's why we are using promise.all, and here we will provide multiple promises. So we will actually make a function, guys, which will be costly function, and this will also be a async function, costly function. And we will actually call this function, and this function will actually take two parameters. A will be a number. In TypeScript, you need to provide for every variable the type as well. B is also a number, and then it will return a promise. So it will return a promise, guys, and a number will be returned. And here we simply need to return, we will call the function which we return, simulated call. We will pass a comma b. So we are simply calling this function inside this costly function. We are returning a promise here. So inside this, we will actually call this function, which is costly function. We will provide any values. Let's suppose 4 and 4, 5. It will return 20. So let's suppose we again call the same function and we pass the same values once again, costly function. We again call the same function, costly function 4 comma 5. So you can see guys, basically we are calling the same values. This is, you can see the problem here, why it will be a problem in production level application, because this will be not very much, because the function is just multiplying two numbers. But in real time application, this can be anything. It can make a database call and you will be just calling the same function again and again. So this will be very inefficient. And let's suppose I take some more thing called costly function and I give 50 comma 2, costly function 50 comma 2, and again I will call this 50 comma 2. So as you can see, we are calling these three functions. uh, Essentially we are just calling six functions here, and you can see how much we are repeating it. So now you will basically see this effect here if I console log the values. If you see guys, in this scenario, when I call the main function here, and now if I try to run this file, so what will be the output? Just see, just pause the video and think about it. What will be the output? And now I run this. I will simply say node index. First of all, we need to compile this. So tsc index.ts, it will compile to JavaScript, and now I will run my JavaScript code, which is index.js. So it is saying that exports is not defined in yes module scope. Okay, sorry, just remove this line. So now you can see that guys, the function has been executed 6 times, calculated 4 into 5, again 4 into 5, 4 into 5, 50 into 2, 50 into 2, 50 into 2. This is the result. 4 into 5 is 20, 20, 20, 100, 100, 100. So we got the output, but the thing to notice is that we are executing the same function multiple times. So this is not a good practice at all in programming, guys. You need not have to repeat anything in programming. It is better to just store this result in a variable and or catch this result, so that in subsequent function calls we don't need to execute them. We can simply get those data without calling duplicate function calls. We need to prevent the duplication in programming. We don't need to write duplicate code, or we need not have to call duplicate function calls with the same arguments. This is not acceptable in programming, and you should not do this for building production level applications. So that's why I decided to make this video. And now I will show you the solution here, how to tackle this problem, how to optimize this code which is written right here. It is an inefficient code. If you go to any interview for JavaScript and Node.js, then interviewer will ask you about this problem. They will give you this problem and they will tell you how you can optimize this program. So now to optimize this, guys, we will actually use a caching concept. Caching is something that we uh, use in programming concept. We simply store the data in a variable, and in subsequent function request we will use that data. And now we will simply delete this TypeScript and write our JavaScript code. So just change this to type to module, and inside this now we will import our delay from time frame, and we will also import operation registry from reliable caching. So this is the actual method it takes, and we will define this function operation registry. So this will be the variable that we will define. And we will instantiate a new reference of this class which we imported, operation registry. And here you can give any key, for example, any function name that you want to cache. So in this case, I will be caching that function, which is costly function. So we will define this function and automatically this function will be cached. So we will define this async function, simulated call, once again, the same that we defined, simulated call. It will take two numbers, a comma b, and in this we will await 200, and after waiting for 200 milliseconds, we will actually return the values a multiplied by b. And now we will actually again make that costly function. So inside this costly function, we will a comma b, and we will simply say here unique operation key. You will declare this variable, and here you will provide your key, guys. So you can see that inside operation registry we have cached this function. So inside this, we will actually provide a unique key. So this can be anything. In backtick symbol, you will write here A, B. So you just need to pass these variables. It can be anything. It can be comma, multiplication. We have just put colon here in between this. And then we will simply say promise for result. And now we will simply say operation registry. And it contains this method is executing. And this simply means that when we pass these function, when we basically call this function with different values, it will simply catch the result. Let's suppose you pass here 4 into 5. It will basically multiply 4 into 5 and it will give the result to 20. And then it will catch the result into this promise for result. In subsequent request, we will actually compare this result. Uh, it basically contains this is executing, and we will actually pass this key which we constructed, unique operation key. And now we will check for this result. If promise for result already exists, this means that we just need to wait for the promise to return, and we will simply say return promise for result. That's all. So we will return from that. But if the value doesn't exist, in that case we will calculate the value using this try catch block. So we can catch. So in the try catch, we can simply call that function. So we will simply say here const value await. We will call that function simulated call, and here we will say a comma b. That's all. And then we will say operation registry trigger awaiting resolve. So you will resolve the promise. So this contains a function trigger resolve, and we will say pass the unique operation key and the actual value. That's all. So we will do this just opposite thing. If any sort of error take place, we will not resolve. We will basically reject the promise. So it contains a method reject here. So we will reject it, pass the key, and not the actual value, but the error here, because error has taken place. That's all. So now if you just make the main function and just repeat that, call the same 6 times. So what will happen? It will only execute 2 times with the different values. It will, for these 3 times, it will call the function only once, and also for these 3 times, it will only call the function once. So a total of 2 times the function will execute instead of 6. So if I just try to execute this function now, node index.js, it is saying that promise.all costly function is not defined. Let me see, costly function. Okay, this needs to be costly function. Sorry, just change it here. Costly, just it needs to be same costly function. So if you now execute, guys, You will see here, let me execute the program, node index.js. So it will say that it is undefined 2020, undefined 100. Let me see what is the problem here. All the source code is given, guys, so let me just see. Let me copy this code here. So now just call this function, sorry. 4 into 5, 4 into 5, and promise console log values. So just format the document. So if you just console log calculating, just console log this statement and you will find out. It will only execute it for twice here instead of 6 times that we earlier on. So we have reduced the number of function calls from 6 to 2. So in this way, you can optimize your function in JavaScript and Node.js using caching methods that we saw. Before we were executing the same function 6 times. Now we have simply reduced it from 6 to 2. So in this way, you can optimize your Node.js and JavaScript code. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. And I will be seeing you in the next live stream. Until then, thank you very much.